I woke in a sky with no edges to mend. 10 out of 10, no question, no end. Gas breath light in the veins of my chest. Joyticals rise and the world was a guest. No maps, no fear, no ledger to keep. Only a sky so wide it swallowed the deep. Then a pebble, a whisper, a wondering small. A tiny crack in a mirror that used to be all. A billion lives to learn how the light bends, to touch the rim and count the costs and ends. I went to the edges, I ran the toast and came alive. A billion lives in one bright click, I know how joy survives. 68% the gas that lifts and flies. 27 flows, the rivers, the trees, the tides. 5% solid, the fruit and the frame. The slow, heavy world where bodies have names. I came from infinite green, a sky with no seam, and a little scratch became the center of my dream. I learned the grabber of light and how to make a fire, how to shape a calm, how to steady desire. Conscious competence taught me the lines, how to hold the tune and keep the signs. But to learn the limits I had to touch the edge, taste the bitter shortcuts and map the broken ledge. So I ran the experiment, pushed the brightness to the brim, found the places where the light goes thin. A billion lives to learn how the light bends, to touch the rim and count the costs and ends. I went to the edges, I ran the tests and came alive. A billion lives in one bright click, I know how joy survives. There's a speed to harm, a lightning sweet reward. A kingdom bought with a moment, then the ledger gets scored. Short-term crown, long-term debt, fast victory, slow rot. The body keeps the balance, the nervous system takes the lot. I sank to zero, hands on the stone. The instrument broke and the system worked alone. Years piled like silt, the river grew slow. Each layer a lesson of how not to go. Inside I kept a flame, outside the weather raged. I learned the long ledger where the shortcuts are staged. At zero there was silence, a flat unmaking hush. And only when I hit the wall did the method lose its rush. Then the click, a clean, bright shift inside the chest. Not miracle, not thunder, just the end of the test. I stopped the push, folded the hands, let the map lie down. Watch the gears relax and the steady spin come round. Joy returned not as naive, but as something that knows. An automatic river that runs from the maps below. Stanza measures joy. I came from endless bright, a sky that had no seam. 68 gas breaths of wonder, 27 rivers in between. 5% the solid fruit where bodies learn to stay. A trillion quiet ages held in one small human day. The dark was a microdot, a speck upon the ring, so tiny that my heart went click, and all the world took wing. A billion lives to learn how the light bends. A single click, the world rearranged. I walked the cold, I read the law, then let the center claim. A billion lives in one bright click, I'll keep the jade for change. Now the lessons live below thought, in the bones and in the breath. I know the dead ends by the feel of their theft. I don't have to watch the light to know where it will fall. Automatic joy moves quietly through the hall. Not the old naive glow, but the steady turned on tide. Joy that's been tempered and taught how to bide. When you see the scale, trillions before the first scratch. A billion lifetimes shrink to a pebble in your match. The tiny cruel things that once consumed a world of thought become micropoints in a map the infinite taught. Speechless with the sighs, the awe folds out the chest. The problem loses shape when joy's the only rest. I'm 35 in a body that sits in dense, slow clay. The solid takes the long view and the gas wants to play. My lifetime is a pebble on a map that spans the sun. But pebbles teach the walking feet what stars cannot outrun. I carry maps and talismans of all the ways I fell, and I carry the permission to let the light do well. A billion lives to learn how the light bends, to walk the edge, to close the circle, to see the ends. I touched the cold, I kept the law, I came back to the same. A billion lives in one bright click, I rest inside the flame. So when the small things rattle and the old questions rise, remember where you started bright without disguise. You fell to learn the pattern, you rose to let it be.